They say, we want you to meet all these folks in Washington and come down and talk about homelessness and the people you've met at the House of Ruth and all the stuff you're doing. And we say, okay.
It started out as a typical sunny morning in Hollywood, with celebrities lounging around in their mansions, paparazzi following their every move, and fans watching from a distance to take in all of the glitz and glamour. Nevertheless, beneath this glittering facade, a storm was brewing. It was a scandal that was so explosive that it would soon shatter illusions and send shockwaves through the very heart of the entertainment industry. Agents from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, showed up at the extravagant estate of Whoopie Goldberg, a well-known actress and television personality, without any prior warning. This was not the set of a movie. Rather, it was reality, which appeared to be unfiltered, intense, and completely perplexing. Agents armed with firearms stormed the gates of Goldberg's mansion, moving swiftly through the meticulously maintained gardens and ornate hallways in an attempt to locate something concealed deep within the mansion, something that would completely transform the Hollywood industry. Within a secluded office, agents found a hidden safe, which was a secret vault that was protected with cutting-edge security technology. The safe was hidden behind an intricately decorated bookshelf. The contents of that safe were more shocking and disturbing than anyone could have possibly anticipated having to find inside of it. Explosive evidence was carefully concealed behind layers of secrecy, hidden from prying eyes and the admiration of the public. It was a treasure trove of documents, secret contracts, mysterious letters, and unsettling revelations about the darkest underbelly of Hollywood. Whoopi Goldberg, a figure who has been adored by millions of people for decades, could possibly be concealing something? Is it possible that the FBI would target someone who appears to be so far removed from scandal? On the other hand, what dark secrets did Hollywood do everything in its power to conceal? A scandal that has left the entertainment industry in a state of disarray is the subject of today's investigation, in which we delve deeply into the contents of Goldberg's mysterious safe and trace its origins. We are about to reveal shocking truths and confront unsettling questions about power, fame, and deception. These are secrets that Hollywood has never wanted you to know, so hold on to your seats. Residents of one of the most prestigious neighborhoods in Hollywood awoke to the surreal sight of flashing lights and armed agents surrounding the extravagant estate of the legendary actress and entertainer Whoopi Goldberg. This occurred just after dawn, on a morning that was bright and sunny. While uniformed agents swiftly secured the perimeter of the mansion, FBI vehicles with their windows tinted black formed a stark barrier at the mansion's grand entrance. This created a tense scene that drew shocked neighbors out of their homes. Reporters quickly flooded the quiet street after receiving information about the incident from an unknown source. Cameras were used to record every dramatic moment. The screens of televisions all over the country were lit up with aerial footage that showed agents meticulously searching through Goldberg's lavish estate. Whoopi Goldberg, who is renowned all over the world for her wit, warmth, and decades-long career as one of the most beloved entertainers in the United States, was nowhere to be found. Fans and those who work in the entertainment industry alike were immediately filled with questions. Why was the Federal Bureau of Investigation conducting a search warrant at the residence of someone who is so widely admired and respected? The hidden darkness that had prompted such a drastic action was what prompted it. Within the expansive mansion, agents moved with great care through grand hallways that were lined with framed photographs of Goldberg's celebrated life. These photographs included portraits of Goldberg's smiling family, photographs of him receiving awards, and other happy memories that were now juxtaposed against the surreal drama that was taking place around them. As they went through each room, they searched thoroughly, making sure to clearly follow the instructions that were given to them, and their attention was focused on finding something of significant importance. Finally, in a secluded area of a private office, agents made a startling discovery. They found it hidden behind an ornate bookshelf that was stuffed with books and memorabilia. There was a hidden safe that was both sophisticated and imposing, and it was obviously designed to protect deeply personal and potentially explosive secrets. It was concealed within the meticulously crafted decor. As the agents made preparations to break into the safe, the tension increased. Everyone who was present, including agents, members of the media, and neighbors, was aware of the seriousness of what was about to take place. Whatever it was that Goldberg had chosen to conceal so safely within the confines of her opulent home, it came with the promise of revealing information that was so powerful that it would shake Hollywood itself. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI specialists, carefully set to work on the hidden safe that was embedded deep within Whoopi Goldberg's mansion. They used precision tools and increased their level of caution. The high-tech design of the safe gave the impression that it was intended to safeguard something extremely sensitive, which was something that Goldberg had carefully concealed from the rest of the world. After a number of tense minutes, the lock finally gave way, and the heavy safe door swung open, revealing contents that caused even the most experienced federal agents to experience a visible shudder. Within was a meticulously cataloged collection of files, recordings, confidential letters, and documents that were meticulously organized and arranged as if they were waiting to be discovered. At first glance, the files appeared to be totally harmless. However, upon closer inspection, it became unsettlingly obvious that Goldberg had been concealing secrets that were powerful enough to completely destroy the entertainment industry. Almost immediately, agents noticed files that had been meticulously labeled, and each file contained the names of prominent figures in Hollywood, including actors, directors, and producers. In addition to these documents, there were also cryptic handwritten notes that detailed suspicious transactions, secret negotiations, and unsettling code words that suggested exploitation, blackmail, and manipulation at the highest levels of Hollywood. Certain celebrities had been coerced into signing contracts with shocking terms, which hinted at hidden obligations and coercion. These contracts were signed under conditions that were shrouded in secrecy. One of the most unsettling aspects of the situation was the existence of detailed lists that meticulously documented celebrities who had mysteriously disappeared from the public eye, suddenly retired, or been forced into silence. The pages were filled with dates, amounts of money that were traded, and cryptic notes, which gave the impression that Goldberg had methodically tracked disturbing events in Hollywood for reasons that were beyond his comprehension. There was more to these than mere suspicions. They seemed to be evidence that had been meticulously gathered, indicating that there was a widespread and nefarious operation that was concealed beneath the glamorous facade of Hollywood. Alongside these troubling documents were personal letters written by Goldberg herself. These letters were filled with ominous warnings about powerful individuals whom she obviously feared. In one letter, which was carefully sealed and addressed to a person who remained anonymous, there was a line that was particularly unsettling. "If you are reading this, they have already found me. Do not put your faith in anyone." Following a brief pause, the agents took a moment to reflect on the gravity of the situation. The question is, what was Goldberg's intention with regard to this explosive information? Was she a willing participant in a conspiracy that was more complex than anyone could possibly imagine? Or did she have the intention of revealing the most heinous secrets that Hollywood had to offer? As the agents meticulously gathered the shocking contents and made preparations to transport them safely back to the headquarters of the FBI, the realization dawned on them. Hollywood's previously concealed darkness had been violently thrust into the spotlight, and nothing would ever be the same again. When FBI agents dug deeper into the shocking contents of Whoopi Goldberg's hidden safe, the true scale of Hollywood's dark secrets became alarmingly clear. Whoopi Goldberg was the subject of the investigation. The files that were discovered by the authorities revealed a hidden side of the entertainment industry, which was a side that was marred by manipulation, coercion, and shadowy dealings. These files were carefully preserved in folders that were meticulously labeled. These documents, which included contracts, legal agreements, and lists of transactions, given the appearance of being straightforward at first glance. However, upon closer inspection, it became immediately apparent that they were disturbing. These were not your typical contracts. Rather, they were carefully crafted agreements that bound celebrities to obligations that ranged from being disturbingly intrusive to being downright nefarious. The stars were compelled to remain silent as a result of certain agreements, which stipulated stringent conditions under which they could discuss industry figures, events, or their own personal experiences. In the event that these terms were violated, severe consequences were imposed, such as significant financial penalties, blacklisting that could end a career, or legal threats. Unsettling phrases such as lifelong silence, irreversible clause, and strict obedience required were described in handwritten annotations that were discovered by the agents. These annotations were allegedly written by Goldberg himself. However, the revelations did not stop there. The attention was immediately drawn to a file that was simply titled The List. On the inside was a record that had been meticulously cataloged and contained the names of well-known celebrities. Missing, silenced, and neutralized were some of the chilling designations that were placed next to each name. The dates that accompanied these entries corresponded eerily with times when these well-known personalities suddenly disappeared from the public eye or encountered scandalous downfalls. It is unsettling to note that in addition to a number of names, there were also dollar amounts and codes that referred to covert operations, blackmail, or even secret payoffs. However, agents quickly realized that this was not merely paranoia. It appeared that Goldberg had painstakingly gathered evidence suggesting a shadowy and powerful network operating at the highest levels of Hollywood, controlling careers and lives through fear, coercion, and manipulation. Other documents provided information about the secret meetings that took place at exclusive locations, such as Hollywood mansions, private yachts, and remote estates, where business transactions were conducted away from prying eyes. There was a strong possibility that influential political figures, powerful entertainment executives, and influential financiers were involved, as there were references to secret gatherings. Not only did the documents imply personal scandals, but they also suggested widespread corruption within the industry, which was a terrifying network built on exploitation and silence. It was from these documents that the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, started putting together a narrative which depicted Goldberg as either a reluctant participant or possibly an intended whistleblower who was attempting to expose Hollywood's troubling secrets. Nevertheless, as they investigated these explosive files, a question that was chillingly obvious emerged. Who else was aware of these shady dealings? The question is, who exactly was the true power behind these unsettling contracts? Following the discovery of Goldberg's files, the investigators experienced a wave of shock and dread throughout their bodies. Hollywood was revealing something ominous that was hiding in the shadows, and its glamorous facade was beginning to fall apart. As a result of the dark contracts and mysterious lists that were discovered inside Goldberg's safe, a scandal was about to break out, which had the potential to shake the entertainment industry to its very foundations and force everyone to question the true cost of fame. As the FBI agents continued their meticulous search of Whoopi Goldberg's secret safe, their attention was drawn to a handwritten letter that had been carefully sealed and prominently placed among the contents of the disturbing documents. As soon as they opened it, the investigators found themselves overcome with a chilling sense of foreboding. The voice that was heard was that of Goldberg himself, speaking directly from the hidden depths of Hollywood's darkest secrets. The letter started off with a crystal-clear statement. "If you're reading this, they've finally come for me. Everything I feared has come true. Hollywood isn't what people believe it to be. It's darker, colder, and crueler than you could ever imagine." Goldberg's words were brimming with a sense of urgency, which gave the impression that she was feeling threatened and that influential figures within the industry were watching her. In the following paragraphs of the letter, she went on to describe her discovery of questionable dealings involving some of the most powerful people in Hollywood. In her cryptic remarks, she referred to dangerous individuals whose influence extended far beyond the realm of conventional celebrity circles. She issued a warning that others had lost their careers, reputations, and in some cases even their lives as a result of their attempts to speak openly about the hidden truths that were prevalent in the industry. Goldberg wrote the following in a passage that was particularly eerie. "I've seen the lists. I know what happens when you cross them. They control everything. Careers, lives, even deaths. Those who resist or speak out are silenced. I was foolish enough to believe I could expose the truth and remain untouched." Goldberg's message took on an even more desperate tone as the FBI agents continued to read it throughout the entire process. Noting unexplained threats, anonymous warnings, and escalating harassment that had forced her to conceal her discoveries in the secret safe, she issued a stern warning that powerful individuals were attempting to silence her. She also mentioned that she had been forced to hide her discoveries in the safe. "This letter is my final warning," Goldberg continued, his handwriting becoming increasingly shaky. "Don't trust anyone. Not your managers, not your friends, certainly not those who promise fame and fortune. They're all part of this monstrous system, and once you're in, there's no escape. Protect yourself. They will stop at nothing to preserve their secrets. There was a sudden halt in the letter, as if Goldberg had been stopped in the middle of his thought process. Those who read it were profoundly troubled by its tone, which was one of desperation and fear. The question that the investigators were now confronted with was a haunting one. Had Goldberg been silenced before she could share the truth, or had she somehow managed to escape the dreadful fate that she had warned about? It was a chilling testimony from a beloved Hollywood icon who was now trapped in a conspiracy that was much darker and more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Goldberg's final warning hung in the air throughout the entire situation. The letter she wrote was a desperate plea for justice, compelling the entire world to face an unsettling reality. Hollywood's deepest, darkest secrets had taken the life of one of the industry's most cherished stars, and possibly a great number of others who were never given the opportunity to speak out. An image began to take shape as the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, continued to investigate the shocking materials that were discovered inside Whoopi Goldberg's hidden safe. This picture was significantly more unsettling than even the most cynical Hollywood critic could have conceived of. It was a world built on silence, control, and exploitation that lay beneath the glitz, red carpets, and polished public personas that were being presented to the public. The files suggested that a nefarious infrastructure was responsible for many of Hollywood's most successful endeavors. This infrastructure consisted of an elite network of handlers, executives, and powerful insiders who were responsible for steering the industry. Young stars who were desperate for fame were frequently coerced into signing contracts that deprived them of their independence on numerous occasions. They were coerced into obeying orders, attending secret events, and remaining silent about what they witnessed in exchange for financial considerations, public recognition, or safety. Even more unsettling were the statements that were made about initiation rituals, non-disclosure compliance events, and silencing protocols. These were not merely rumors. There were receipts, schedules, and flight logs, all of which pointed to the existence of a powerful underground machine that was operating just beneath the surface of the glossy exterior of Hollywood. The documents demonstrated that opposing viewpoints were not tolerated. It was common practice to label celebrities as unstable, to exclude them from future projects, or to frame them in public scandals if they resisted or threatened to go public. On a number of occasions, the names that appeared on Goldberg's mysterious missing list were identical to those of famous people who had suddenly disappeared from the public eye, or who had experienced suspicious mental breakdowns. According to the appearance, Goldberg had not only discovered the system, but she had also started documenting it. However, it is not clear whether she was gathering this evidence in order to protect herself, to expose others, or to use it as leverage. It is abundantly clear that the contents of her safe posed a risk of revealing decades' worth of secrets and bringing down some of the most influential figures in Hollywood. This wasn't just about the secret of a single celebrity. Rather, it was about a secret empire that was built on deception and silence throughout its history. In addition, that empire was now in danger of being brought to light. At the precise moment when the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, was under the impression that they had uncovered the entirety of Whoopi Goldberg's secret cache, a disturbing turn of events caused the investigation to spiral into uncertainty. Several of the most important files were missing. It was impossible to ignore the gaps in the agents' meticulously cataloged inventory of the safe's contents because they had been identified. In addition to hard drives with labels that read Phase 3 and Blacklist Confirmed, certain folders that were mentioned in Goldberg's notes were discovered to be missing. Instantaneously, alarm bells began to ring. Was there a possibility that the safe had been opened prior to the FBI raid? And if that is the case, who is it and how? As part of their investigation, investigators started reconstructing timelines and reading surveillance footage. During the course of the investigation, it was discovered that the security systems at Goldberg's estate had been compromised for a full 36 hours prior to the raid. During that time period, an individual who possessed technical expertise had not only broken through the perimeter, but they had also most likely entered the office without being discovered. The FBI analyst suggested that this was not a random burglary, but rather a job that required precision. Any person who took the files that were missing was aware of exactly what they were looking for. They did not take anything that could potentially expose specific individuals or networks, and they left behind documents that were less damning. What is the theory? Someone on the inside, possibly even within Goldberg's trusted circle, had warned powerful interests about the investigation that was about to take place. To make matters even worse, there was a growing amount of speculation that the documents that were missing contained the names of people who were not associated with Hollywood, such as politicians, corporate moguls, and global influencers. It was suggested that the scope of this conspiracy extended far beyond the realm of the film industry by the fact that the phrase "International Eyes Only" was written across the torn label of one of the folders. Hollywood began to hear rumors as the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, worked feverishly to locate the missing data. According to reports, a few famous people have left the country. Others hired legal counsel. A few of them suddenly stopped posting anything on social media. The tension was felt by everyone. It was common knowledge that whatever was contained within those files that had gone missing had the potential to ruin careers, reputations, and possibly even lives. Had Whoopi attempted to leak the files but been prevented from doing so? Or had she concealed them in a different location, waiting for the appropriate time to reveal them? Regardless of the circumstances, there was one thing that was certain. Someone else had gotten to the safe first, and they were prepared to do whatever it took to conceal the truth. At this point, the FBI was left chasing shadows because half of the evidence had been lost, and the number of questions was increasing by the hour. The secrets that have not yet been revealed could end up being even more dangerous than those that have already been revealed. The focus began to shift as the investigation into Whoopi Goldberg's secret safe became more intense. It was no longer solely on the contents of the safe. Rather, it eventually shifted to Goldberg herself. She may have been a whistleblower who was caught in a web of corruption without her knowledge. Or did she play a significant role in the very system that she appeared to be attempting to expose? A picture that was contradictory was painted by the documents. On the one hand, it was evident that Goldberg had gathered a substantial amount of damning evidence, which was information that the average citizen would not have been able to obtain. Her handwritten notes gave the impression that she was afraid, being defiant, and possibly making a last-ditch effort to reveal the truth. However, why should we keep everything a secret? Why should it be kept hidden rather than being brought to light in public? FBI analysts started to wonder whether Goldberg was a former insider who had become disillusioned and started documenting the darkness from within the organization she had worked for. Is it possible that she had gathered the information as a means of exerting influence, keeping it close to her as a form of protection in a world where loyalty was fragile and secrets were lethal? This was made even more perplexing by the absence of the documents. In the event that Goldberg had seriously intended to bring to light a powerful elite, had she been betrayed before she had the opportunity to do so? It is also possible that she was the one who arranged the leak in order to manipulate the narrative in her favor. When agents questioned those who were closest to Goldberg, they received a variety of responses. Over the past few months, she has been described by some as being extraordinarily paranoid. She has become increasingly isolated, obsessed with security, and convinced that she is being watched. There were those who asserted that she was getting ready to reveal everything to the public and that she was terrified for her life. The evidence pointed in two chilling directions. Either Goldberg was a woman who was trying to fight back against a monstrous machine out of fear, or she was far more deeply involved in the construction of the machine than anyone had dared to imagine. Whoopi Goldberg was either the victim of a cover-up or the architect of one, and until she came forward to speak for herself, the world was left to speculate about the situation. There was a widespread outcry all over the world as the news of the FBI's raid on Whoopi Goldberg's estate and the shocking contents of her secret safe made its way into the headlines. Within a matter of minutes, social media platforms experienced a surge in popularity, with trending hashtags such as "Where Goldberg Files," "Where Hollywood Exposed," and "Where is Whoopi?" dominates feeds all over the world. The question that was being asked by fans, journalists, and conspiracy theorists alike was the same. What in the world was Whoopi hiding? There was a rapid and divided response to the news. Fans of Goldberg who had followed her career for her entire life were taken aback and struggled to reconcile the image of the cherished actress, comedian, and talk show host with the unsettling narrative that was currently taking place. There were those who vehemently defended her, arguing that it was obvious that she was attempting to shield herself and others from a perilous industry that had turned its back on a great number of people. Others, who were more skeptical, accused her of hypocrisy, which is the act of profiting from fame while allegedly participating in, or at the very least enabling, the very corruption that she might have exposed. The story was covered by mainstream media networks around the clock, with special reports, panel discussions, and in-depth investigations into Goldberg's career and connections being broadcast around the clock. While this was going on, fringe media outlets went completely crazy with speculation, weaving elaborate theories about covert Hollywood cults, celebrity blacklists, and secret societies. On the inside of Hollywood, there was an eerie lack of sound. Suddenly, celebrities who are known for actively supporting every cause had nothing to say about the matter. Questioning was avoided by publicists. Appearances were canceled by executives from the studio. The level of tension was palpable, and it seemed as though the entire sector was waiting to find out who would be brought up next. The fact that Whoopi Goldberg herself was nowhere to be found was the one thing that made the story even more unsettling, despite all the other things that were going on. Her silence became increasingly audible despite the passage of time. Have you seen her hiding? Do you feel silenced? Or is it simply a matter of observing the chaos from behind the curtain? Regardless of the location of the truth, there was one thing that was abundantly clear. Hollywood had been completely exposed, and there was no going backwards. Despite the fact that the dust has settled from the shocking raid conducted by the FBI, and the world is reeling from the revelations that were found inside Whoopi Goldberg's secret safe, there is one thing that is absolutely certain: Hollywood will never be the same. What was once considered to be a shining example of glitz, creativity, and achievement is now tainted, with its golden image being shattered by unsettling truths that are hidden in plain sight. A firestorm of fear and suspicion has been sparked by the documents, the lists, the contracts, and Goldberg's eerie letter. This firestorm has spread far beyond the red carpet. There is a possibility that the full extent of this conspiracy will never be revealed because key files have been lost, powerful names are still being concealed, and Whoopi has vanished without a trace. Is it possible that Goldberg was a courageous individual who was getting ready to expose a corrupt empire? Or was she a willing participant whose secrets were finally discovered by her? It's possible that the world will never know. The fact that her safe contained more than just paperwork, however, cannot be denied. It contained evidence that power, silence, and manipulation have long been the guiding principles behind the velvet ropes of Hollywood. There is one terrifying reality that continues to exist despite the fact that the public is demanding answers and the industry is shaking under scrutiny. This may just be the beginning. For the simple reason that if Whoopi Goldberg was aware of everything, what else is still a secret? After that, who will have the courage to reveal it?